Hi guys, Miss Acton here teaching you reading again today. So we are still sticking with repeated lines. We're going to get some poems. You're going to see a really funny one in your classwork today, and we're going to deal with a funny one during this mini lesson. So what are we going to do together? We will create meaning from repeated lines and other phrases in a poem. So we're going to be reading a poem together. We're going to be checking out those repeated lines and also the phrases or groups of words and figuring out more meaning. We get more meaning from those words. Then you, in your classwork for today, you're going to read another poem and you're going to say, I will create meaning from repeated lines, because there's going to be repeated lines in that poem too, and phrases in a poem. So you're going to look at all the words and create some more meaning about the characters, what's going on in the story, and all that good stuff. So let's get started. So the poem that we're reading today is called Who Wants Pancakes? So let me read it really quick for you. Who wants pancakes? They are sweet and piping hot. Good little Grace looks up and says, I'll take the one on the top. Who wants pancakes? They are fresh off the griddle. Terrible Teresa smiles and says, I'll take the one in the middle. So hopefully you noticed that there were two different people in this story. We've got good little Grace, and her name starting with good really does show you what her character is like. And then we have terrible Teresa, and again, the first word in her name also shows you what she's all about. So both of these characters are doing something that definitely goes with their name. So I'm going to read it one more time, and I want you to pay attention to what Grace does and what Teresa does. Who wants pancakes? They are sweet and piping hot. Good little Grace looks up and says, I'll take the one on the top. Who wants a pancake? They are fresh off the griddle. Terrible Teresa smiles and says, I'll take the one in the middle. So pay attention to what those two characters did. I want you to think about that for a second. So good little Grace takes the one on the top, which means if you grab the one on the top, the rest of the stack will stay nice and neat. It won't fall down, and that's something that a good person would do. But then terrible Teresa wants one in the middle. So that means if you grab one right here in the middle of the stack, what's going to happen to all of these up here? They're probably going to fall down. Yeah, they're probably going to come down, which will make a mess. And that is definitely something that someone with the name Terrible Teresa will want to happen. And what makes it even worse is that she says it with a smile. Says she smiles and says, so she knows what she's doing. So not only does she just say, I'll take one in the middle, she says like this. I'll take the one in the middle. That's what that makes me think. So hopefully you're able to see some differences between our characters, Good Little Grace and Terrible Teresa, and the choices that they made with the pancakes. So first off, let's see if we see any repeated lines. Who wants a pancake? And who wants a pancake? Yeah. And then even though the lines weren't exactly repeated, but it was like they said, who wants a pancake? They described them, said that they are sweet and piping hot, and then they said they're fresh off the griddle. So they're kind of repeating the same pattern. Who wants a pancake? What the pancakes are like. Then they introduce the person that's going to say something, and then they say what the person said. So it's the same pattern, but definitely the repeated lines that say exactly what is on there is definitely who wants a pancake. So there's definitely repeated lines in this poem. Next is surprises. Did anything surprise you? Now, I believe the author, the person that wrote this poem, definitely wanted this part right here for Terrible Teresa to take the one in the middle and do something really sneaky and yucky and really terrible because of her name, Terrible Teresa. So that was definitely a surprise. For some of you guys, when you heard the name Terrible Teresa, it may have not been a surprise to you that she was about to do something terrible, but it may have surprised you that her name was Terrible Teresa. That surprised me too. And then the last part, funny. I definitely think Terrible Teresa is a funny name, and I believe that her character is probably really funny. I also think the word griddle is kind of funny too. Griddle, I think that's funny. And when she says, I'll take one in the middle, and you know what's about to happen. You know that all these pancakes up here in the top are going to go down, down, down. That's a pretty funny part too. And I can picture it in my brain and it puts a funny picture in my mind, which is cool. So definitely repeated lines, surprises, and definitely funny stuff in the story. So I want you to take a look at this little part right here. It says, good little Grace looks up and says, I'll take the one on the top. So what does Grace do that makes her good? So we already know what she is. She's good. What does she do that makes her good? Right, she takes one on the top. She takes the top pancake. And we know that that might not seem very important, but we know because we're smart, we have that background knowledge, we know if you take one from the top, it won't mess with any of the pancakes that are below it, so that it keeps the stack nice and neat. I'm going to say keeps the stack of pancakes is what Miss Acton's talking about. It keeps the stack of pancakes neat, is what we'll say. Keeps it nice and neat. All right, moving on to the next one. So now we're talking about terrible Teresa. So I want you to know what words help you understand that Teresa is bad, that she's terrible, that she's not a good kid and she makes bad decisions. Terrible Teresa smiles and says, I'll take the one on the middle. So she wants to take the one in the middle, and we know why. So what are the words that help you understand? I definitely think these words right here help you understand why she's terrible. And also the word terrible could give you a clue of what Teresa is too. But these words down here, I'll take the one from the middle, doesn't say that she's terrible. Nowhere in that sentence does it say that she's bad. Nowhere in that sentence does it say that she's terrible. Nowhere in that sentence says that she's going to get in trouble. But we know from everything else going on in the story, the stack of pancakes that we're talking about, and we know from maybe doing something like that. Like think about the game Jenga. Normally when you pull one from the middle, there's a chance the top ones are going to fall over. We know from our background knowledge, the words that are used, it helps us understand that she's pulling one from the middle because she wants the rest of them to fall down from the top, right? So those words are really telling us she wants to make a mess, to make a mess. And nowhere in that sentence does it say she's going to make a mess. Nowhere in that sentence does it say she's bad. Nowhere in that sentence does it say that she's terrible. It says it up here. But nowhere in this part right here does it say any of those things. But we know that all those things are true. She's bad, she's terrible, she's making poor decisions. We know that all those things are true because we know what those words really mean. We know the understanding of the words because you're smart. And then the last part, as we're reading through this, I want you to think about the repeated lines and how they help us understand the text better. Remember those repeated lines, who wants a pancake and who wants a pancake. And more importantly, when we get to this one right here, I want you to think about how it helps with our understanding and help us understand the text better. Who wants a pancake? They're sweet and piping hot. Good little Grace looks up and says, I'll take one from the top. Who wants a pancake? They're fresh off the griddle. Terrible Teresa smiles and says, I'll take one in the middle. So we definitely know when it says who wants a pancake, it's a question. That repeated line is telling me that someone is going to answer it, and they do. Good little Grace does right there. Now, when we get to the second part and it says who wants a pancake, our brain already knows. We are already understanding the text from that repeated line that we're going to get introduced to a new character. They're going to say something. Now, do we know what they're going to say? Do we know what kind of character it's going to be? No. But those repeated lines, we know that something new, a new character and a new event is going to happen, whether it's good or bad. So let's say that the poem got bigger, and then there was another line down here that starts with who wants a pancake. They start another line down there, who wants a pancake. You know that there's probably going to be a third character that's introduced. They're going to say something and they're probably going to be introduced with the kind of character that they are, like good little Grace, terrible Teresa. They might be messy Mike. You never know. So those repeated lines are teaching us that something else is going to happen, a new character is going to be introduced, and they're going to have something to say. So that's why those repeated lines help us with that understanding. So today in your classwork for today, you're going to be reading a story about a little boy that's up on top of a diving board, and using the clues in the sentence, you're going to figure out what the boy is thinking right now. Is he being brave jumping off the diving board? Is he annoyed with the diving board? Is he scared of the diving board? These words are going to give you a clue. Nowhere in there is it going to say he hates the diving board, he's scared of the diving board, he's annoyed with the diving board. It's not going to say any of those things. You have to figure it out by the things that he's saying. So looking into those words for more meaning. And you have some questions to answer about those, and then you'll be done. If you have any questions, please contact your teachers. They would be more than happy to help you. Bye, guys.